Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Getting the Most Out of a Universal Approach. My name is Leanne Ramsey. I'm the VP of Marketing and Public Relations at logicpath. logicpath is the new name of CetoLogic. We're the same great company. You know, we're just a new name and look. We're happy to be hosting today's webinar, Getting the Most Out of a Universal Approach. But before we get started, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items before we jump in. If you have a question during the webinar, please go ahead and put it into the question box over in the menu system of your GoToWebinar. We're going to try and answer everyone's question at the end of the session. If we don't get to you, our presenters will follow up with you after the webinar to make sure they answer your question. Then also, there will be a recording of this webinar, and it'll be sent out via email 1 to 2 business days following the webinar. Now I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to our presenters, Matt Hertel at FMSI, a Kronos company, and Melissa Lemire at Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Leanne. The agenda for today's Universal Employee Approach is going to include a perspective on the historic use of employees in the branches compared to the new staffing models. We're going to talk about the Universal Associate model specifically. We're going to have a special guest today, Melissa Lemire from Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union. And then we're going to talk about some universal tools to schedule our branches more efficiently using Universal Associates. Historically, we have been able to track interactions in the branches a number of ways, through transactional activity, through sales and service activity as well. What this has allowed us to do is review our cost per transaction, our sales activity, cross-sell ratios, and things like that. As face-to-face interactions continue to decrease with fewer account holders coming into the branch, we have always looked for ways to improve our branch service. And through this transition and decrease in transaction volume, we are looking through the universal model as an opportunity to improve our sales and service. A recent survey has showed that with new branch designs, the staffing models have definitely moved towards the universal banker. On the screen here, you can see that a recent survey in October of 2016 showed that 87% of new branch designs included universal bankers. You can see in the middle a significant amount of tellers, 61% are still involved in new branch designs, but that has significantly decreased over the years and it continues to decrease. You can see the other positions as well. Head tellers are about 1/3 of the branches. So we have moved from the traditional teller and platform roles to a more universal banker. The advantages of that, you can see that in another survey, the advantages are that it is best, let's see, in the middle there, it's most effective as transactions decline. It may not apply everywhere. Simply a matter of how to best execute the delivery of our sales and service. And the bottom one there, it's a given that the universal bankers are here to stay. Advantages are we can reduce branch labor costs. Traditionally, we've had, a handful of tellers handling transaction volume and a couple of sales and service reps. Now, when we have universal bankers, we can combine that staff, have specifically trained employees to handle every type of interaction that comes into the branch. There's no more differentiation between the roles in the branches. And that helps us improve our sales and service. Of course, we want to continue to capitalize on every opportunity that walks through the door as these face-to-face encounters continue to decrease. We need to capitalize on every sales opportunity, increasing our wallet share, increasing our market share, while we continue to deliver outstanding service to each of our account holders that come in. Now, what's important in the universal associate model is we have to find the right candidates. Ideally, we would like to take our staff that we currently have and convert them to universal bankers. However, there's a significant percentage of that staff, generally the tellers, that may not be qualified for a sales and service role. And so we have to make sure that we have the right candidates to deliver the sales and service. It might be easier to find the correct salesperson or salespeople to staff our branches and then train them how to do the transactional side of things, as opposed to an employee that we already have that's very good at handling transactions, but it's not very good at sales and service. So what that means is we might need to hire from outside our institution, and we need to look at what kind of talent that is out there. And a lot of our customers are currently hiring college students, college degree, maybe not experienced in banking, or they might have some other financial institution experience, but they haven't worked in banks necessarily. Let's take a look at another survey, and this shows us where our financial institutions are finding the good talent to fill this universal banking role model. You can see on the top of the chart here, the first and highest percentage of where we're finding our talent for the universal banking role is from outside the bank with financial services experience. We do have a significant number of customers that are able to convert tellers to the universal banking role. It looks like about 2/3 to 3/4 of our the institutions in this survey were able to fill that role through existing tellers. And then there was a smaller percentage outside the banking industry completely, about 36, 37%. And then we have a smaller percentage even in other roles from within the bank or even our call centers. So you can see the highest percentage, again, is from outside the bank, but with some sort of financial services experience. One of our customers had a very tremendous successful story to share, and I'm going to turn it over to Melissa Lemire from Jeanne Credit Union, and she's going to discuss how she schedules her universal associates in her branch. Melissa?
Thank you. I'm Melissa Lemire from Jeanne Credit Union. I'm the branch manager here at the Lakeview Ave branch. I've been at the credit union for 18 years. The credit union is the 4th oldest credit union in the country. We've been around since 1912. Our headquarters are in Lowell, Mass. We're $1 billion in assets, have 7 locations, and over 70,000 members. Next slide. In 2011, we started using the FMSI scheduling tool. We started using this to help us better handle our staffing on the teller side. Since then, there was 30% improvement on the teller line. It did reduce labor costs. And then in the last 5 months, we started using the scheduling tool on our platform side. Doing this, we started with universal employees for my MSRs. Next slide. Our teleside processes over 15,000 transactions a month. We have 4 universal roles in the branches, along with several teller roles. And we also have a part-time employee that is a universal employee, which started as a part-time teller promoting up to a member service rep. So he was a universal employee while already working at the credit union. Next slide. Since our MSRs and most of our universal employees, they didn't require much training. They were tellers beforehand, moving over to the member service side. Now they're universal employees, which make them work on the platform side along with our teller line. What we had to teach them was what to actually look for, when to pull out a line or when to jump on the teller line, when they would really need to be more the universal role, which most of that came pretty natural to them. Next slide. Here shows that Nick is our universal employee. So when I did the scheduling for this, it put him on the teller line for 2 hours, where he was in the member service area most of the day, goes to lunch, and then returning as a teller. When I did this, he works 2 hours on the teller line versus just 15 minutes. So it puts him when he's really needed. And this made it better for the teller line because I didn't have to put in a whole body that whole day. I could just put him when he was needed. Next slide. To schedule the universal employees, you have to go under the roles for each employee. And when I'm here, I select that he is in the Lakeview lobby and Lakeview platform. This way, it will actually put him wherever he is needed that day versus just scheduling him on and not needed. So I can select that he will be on the teller side or the platform. Doing this again, like I said, he is for 2 hours on one of the roles. So it's not going to put him on the teller line for 15 minutes versus 2 hours. It will put him on for at least a minimum of 2 hours wherever need be. Next slide. With the universal employees, it helped our members not suffer on service. Some of our members did notice a wait, but we talked to them and we was able to tell them that we are here for them versus just being here waiting for nothing. So we are here able to help our members. Some of the things we did was, like I said, have conversations with our members. We hid empty chairs on the teller line so it didn't look like people weren't there to help. We did change our structure of our teller line a little bit to make it a little easier. But members really did not have any effect switching to the universal employees at all. They were actually probably helped more than they were before. So this way we could actually pull them out of line in member service or help them on the teller line. Next slide. Again, we properly communicated the purpose, which was that we are here for our members. So we are here to help them whenever they're needed. And using this tool, it actually gave us the times that members were coming in, and we were better to schedule our staffing versus people just scheduled because they were supposed to be here at 8:15 in the morning. Now I have people that come in at 9, some come in at 10. It all depends on the need of the branch. And we did follow the FMSI schedule. Next slide. Here it shows that we have a little bit of extra staffing. So when you look at the black line, that's the need of the branch. Anything over that is a little bit extra. So we do have times that there were extra staffing. This is where I would have my staff do scanning, balancing, coaching if that's what's necessary. So we do make sure we look at this to find out when the need is, versus just putting people on just to put them on the schedule. So we actually look at the needs.
Thanks, Melissa. So to summarize what we can do in our approach to the universal staffing model, we can look at reports that help us evaluate where our employees are spending their time in the branches, transactional, sales, and service perspective, as well as administration. We can then look at appointment setting and how that helps us match the needs of the account holders that are planning to come into the branch with our staff, where we have the appropriate staff member available to deliver that product or service to the account holder. And then lastly, we're going to touch on how we can schedule our branch staff more efficiently to meet the needs of the traffic patterns at each unique branch. Let's first take a look at our reporting. And we have a universal utilization by location report. And this is an interactive look back at the branch position utilization to help organizations better understand how their roles within their organization are spending their time. Here you can see the hours that are spent during a typical month. In this example, we have the month of March down the left-hand side. And by role, you can see across where our branches are spending their time. So this bar chart is all of our branches in our footprint. And you can see in the legend along the bottom, the green part of the bar chart is where we're spending time in a sales role. The purple is where our employees at these branches are spending time in a transactional or more traditional teller type of role. The blue is where they're spending their time in an admin role. So they're not selling, they're not handling transactions, but they are truly servicing the account holders in the branch. And then the gray area is where some branches have other categorized. So what this does is it highlights how the employees are spending their time. It reveals the total number of hours, payroll hours of activity. And it also answers questions regarding the staff and the costs by branch. You can then roll up to region and institution level as well. Next report is a universal activity breakdown. And this report provides organizations with a better understanding as to the impact of each activity has on the total branch workload. So here is a drill down on the last report for one branch. And so here we can see where we're spending our time, and we can select what we want to look at on this chart as well. In this case, the Athens branch spent nearly 1,000 hours during the month of March. You can see we had approximately 3.5 to 3.7 FTEs from a total number of payroll hours during the month. And this really provides actionable insights based on this information that you can view month after month. And you can even drill down to look at loan categories, mortgage categories, so a product by product comparison. You can also drill down into costs for each activity or category. Next, I'm going to take you to our appointment setting software. And I'm going to walk through making an appointment. And so when our account holders want to schedule a time to come into the branch to open a new account or get a loan, they would come to our appointment setting software called the Appointment Concierge, and they would select their category that they're interested in scheduling an appointment for. So again, the purpose of this software is to match the skill set of the appropriate employee with the need of the account holder when they're looking to come in. So let's go ahead and walk through making an appointment for, say, a boat loan. So we select the loan and mortgage category, and we select the boat loan. And the locations populate that can deliver this product or service to the account holder or prospect. They're either alpha sorted, or if the account holder has their geolocator services enabled, it calculates the distance to each location, and it sorts them from the closest to the furthest. I'm going to go ahead and select Maine. And what populates here is the available dates and times for that account holder to come in to complete their request, in this case a boat loan. And they can select if they have a favorite banker at the location that they want to make an appointment at, main office in this example. They can select the employee. I'll go ahead and select Anthony Hill. And so what's available now over on the right is Anthony Hill's specific availability. And I'll go ahead and make my boat loan appointment for today at noon. And after I select that, we need to capture the account holder's information. I'm going to go ahead and use my email address so you can see the confirmation. After we complete the appointment. If you want to take phone appointments, we have the ability to offer that to the member as well. So they don't necessarily have to come into the branch for every interaction. If we send them confirmation texts, we need to get their permission. And then the account holder simply hits submit request. They get a confirmation on their screen. I used my email address, so I would expect to get a confirmation email as well. I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. As soon as I get that email, I'll pull that up. You can see the confirmation information that the account holder receives on their screen. Similarly, in the email, the information populates. The address for the branch is hyperlinked if they don't know where the branch is located. They can click on that and it launches Google Maps. So again, what this does is it allows your staff with the appropriate skill set to be available to deliver the appropriate service for the account holder. The account holder virtually will have no wait time. They could potentially have wait time at the branch at noon on a Friday before a holiday weekend because, you know, it's our employees might have gone to lunch already, or everybody might be going to the bank, you know, to take care of their banking before the weekend. Last thing I wanted to show you is the scheduling of the employees and how it's handled in our software in a universal model. What I'm showing you here is our profiles. And a profile is a template of scheduling attributes that we apply to the staff. And in this case, we have the ability to build profiles for various roles, and we have what we call lobby profiles, and that's where the employee would only handle transactional activity. We have what we call platform, and that's where employees would only handle sales and service activity. And then we have universal. And these roles are where the employees would handle any of the above, transactional, sales, or service needs of the members now and customers. Melissa mentioned that you have to select the role in the scheduling software, and that's all you need to do to identify what activity they're going to be scheduled to be covered. And so in the universal profiles, we have the transactional and sales and service roles identified. Then when we create schedules, I'm going to take you over to scheduling now. You can see where the profiles are applied over here on the right-hand side. We then create schedules, and we can see on a daily view where the employees get their shifts based on the transactional and sales and service need. So here's an example. I'll just pick Wednesday, March 1st. We can see that we have some lobby coverage, which is transactional in nature, some platform coverage, which is sales and service in nature. And we can see the actual need based on the historic traffic patterns along the bottom here in 15-minute increments. When we look at just the transactional need, we would look at just the lobby. When we look at the platform need, we would look at just the sales and service activity. And when we look at it combined, it gives you a very nice coverage throughout the day. We have a little bit of excess capacity in the morning based on the historic traffic patterns. And we have a period where we're maybe a little short between 11 and 2 o'clock, and that's where some of our staff is going to lunch. But you can see the distribution of our schedules here pretty well cover the day. If we need to edit a schedule, we can do that easily by just clicking and dragging. We can move shifts earlier and later if we need to. But we're basically covering the overall transactional sales and service, that blended need in the organization. And this is a sample of one day. So we're creating these optimal schedules in the software to precisely align the staff mix with the traffic patterns of each branch. Whether they're full-time or part-time, we will assign them based on the settings in the profile. This helps us, control labor costs, minimize overtime, and the employees will get their hours based on the settings in the software. If they're full-time, over here on the left-hand side, you can see they'll get whatever hours we set up in the profile, minimum of 35, maximum of 40. If they're part-time and we don't want them to get more than 30, here's two part-timers, got 27 and a half and 29 and a half for the week. So all of the controls for the hours help us keep an eye on the labor costs and get our employees their hours, but yet not give them overtime. We can identify potential idle time where we have excess capacity where our employees can be doing other things in the branches, whether it's scanning or other tasks, fed shipment, things like that. And so it's very meaningful to see after we created schedules. That's all I had for you today. I'm going to now pass it back over to Leanne.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you as well to Melissa. That was a great presentation. I'd like to remind everyone that the recording will be available within a few days, and it'll come to you via email. I'd also like to provide you with Matt's contact information, so if you think of a question or want to contact him after the presentation, here's his information. And we'd like to thank everyone for coming today and spending a time with us. Thanks so much. Have a great afternoon.